Police brutality has been a controversial subject for the last few years. Many people believe that it is the police who are at fault for overusing their use of force to harm others. However, there is another side to this controversy. There are some people, in fact, who side with the police in this controversy. Throughout the years, there have been many cases of police brutality, but there have been many arguments with each case. For example, Michael King. Michael King was an African-American man in Missouri who robbed a bank previously, and it was thought that the officer shot him for no reason. But after further review, it was in self-defense due to the area of the bullet and the lack of video evidence. And the bullet was in fact right on top of the head, which showed that he tried to take the officer down. Now, Frank Miller, a retired lieutenant of the Houston Police Department, states their training is very hard on them. They are not just taken off the streets, they are trained on these situations. So if people tend to think that they don't train that well, but Frank Miller says that the academy is very diverse and can be grueling in the lessons they teach. They teach you how to write tickets, driving techniques, and most importantly, they teach you gun safety. Now, in the police academy, it's very frowned upon to fire, but sometimes you absolutely have to. But if you do, it is always important to shoot until you feel it's safe. So you might have some officers who go and, let's say a man pulls a knife, and after countless times of telling him to put down the knife, he charges at the officer. The officer enters fight or flight mode, which is basically, if I don't do this, I die. But when he does this, he fires until it's safe, because that's just how the mind works in this situation. Now, there's been many different kinds of ways that people have been trying to change it. Shaun King states that we need to hire 700,000 women to become police officers so that we have forces that are made up equally of men and women. Now, this can work in both ways, but this will not change the fact that they will be armed. I think keeping them armed is probably the best case scenario, because you do have some of those cases where they are violent and do not want to stop, so they'll shoot at police officers. But Shaun King also states that they would also need to fire 350,000 men. Now, that would not work due to the fact that that would lower their police force. And yes, that would be cut costs, but in my opinion, I feel that each officer is important to their own cause. The biggest event that started this whole controversy was probably Rodney King back in 1992. If you don't know who Rodney King was, he was a black man, and the officers were taped beating him senseless on the side of the road. They were eventually pled not guilty and the riots erupted, but now it's been a bigger problem ever since. Now, what the problem with Rodney King was, and probably a lot of the other cases, is that they really don't film that much. They film the aftermath of they show the arrest. They don't show if he ran, if he was chased, if he showed any resistance. And the thing is with this is that if it doesn't have all of that, it's not gonna show all the evidence. So people are going to jump to conclusions. Now, when I lived in Houston for all my life, I always knew the importance of having the police officers around, due to Houston is a large city, so there's going to be more crime. But my dad was a police officer for 30 years, so I grew up around police forces, police, everything basically. And it's just going into the city of Houston and seeing what goes on. It's really drastic. So it's just my instinct to protect these police officers and respect them for what they do. Now, this does not dodge the fact that there are some corrupt police officers, but we must not judge every other police officer from this matter. So, with this being said, let's put them in two categories: the corrupt, non-corrupt. There's the non-corrupt are the police officers who are lawful. They don't take bribes from anyone, and mostly they'll do what's right. But in cases, they will have times where they have to unfortunately load their firearms on on a suspect. The corrupt officers, this is a very slight demographic of the populations, but these will take bribes. There's been many cases of police officers who have done this before, and it's very sad to see them abuse their power this way. So I'm going to admit that there are corrupt police officers. But what some people like to do is they group all police officers as abusive. They're egotistical. It's just, I don't find that respectful. They keep us safe. Without them, we might have a total anarchy on our hands. So with that being said, let's focus on what's at hand here. People are going to run the streets robbing banks. We need these police officers to do everything they can to take these guys down and arrest them, put them in custody, justice, whatever you want to do. But let's think about the police officers' lives and family. They have family, they have kids, they have pets. So they have lives too. They're not robots. They have plenty of life outside their work. So they're not only looking out for us, they're looking for themselves. Thank you very much.